The Mets right now are in a place that is very dangerous for New York sports team. Number one, they're just pathetic. And number two, they're boring. So I'm watching the Mets a little bit last night. Obviously, Knicks and Rangers, we've been doing that juggle. But now, to me, last night, I can't let them hide anymore. What I would do, and I know that Stevie Cohen had a tweet last time. We'll get to that in a minute, though it was deleted. The New York Mets should be on the phone right now. Every waking moment for Stearns, who was brought here to build a real team, not a team with Band-Aids and a couple of stitches and glue and spit, which is what this roster is. Build an actual team that can sustain something and be dynamic, like the Braves, like the Phillies, like the Dodgers, like some other good teams. I'm on the phone, if I am Stearns, the moment I wake up to the moment that I go to sleep. You want Lindor? How much of his contract do I have to eat? You want McNeil? Take him. He stinks. You want Diaz? I respect him. I'm not trying to diss him. Not the same guy. Go. You want Nimmo? Take him. Whoever you want. There's one guy. There is one player on the New York Mets, I swear to God, that I would actually build around and that I can see in the middle of a lineup that's actually trying to win a World Series, and the poor kid's hurt. And that's Francisco Alvarez. They can't do rundowns. They can't hit. Now you're starting to see the lower level of the pitchers having to pitch out of necessity, and they're getting bamboozled. The Mets season is over. They are done. They are boring. They stink. Everybody knows it. Now it's time to act on that.
You can't act right now. It's mid-May. It's way too early for that. Also, I take major issue with you saying they're pathetic and unwatchable. That is way, way, way too harsh. They're not good. We didn't expect them to be good. And I also would not trade Brandon Nimmo or Francisco Lindor. Like, you could tell me that, the trade deadline, they're going to trade Marte or Alonso. We discussed that, or Diaz. They should be open for business. And you want them to build a team the way that the Phillies and the Braves have been built. That's what they're doing. This was an evaluation year, but to say they're pathetic, unwatchable, they're not.
They're sad.
They're fine. Like they're as expected. They're not. You're going to trade Brandon Nimmo? Why would you do that?
Because I don't think he's very good. That's why.
Well,
I honestly don't.
Yeah, but you're wrong on that.
Well, no, listen, I think he would be a good 6-hitter or 7-hitter on a decent team. He ain't a leadoff guy. He's just not on a team that's going anywhere. He's not.
You can list. You could list a lot of guys. You can't trade Brandon Nimmo. Like you can't trade Brandon Nimmo.
Why?
Lindor's
I legitimate question, Sal. Why?
Come on, BT.
No, but I want why.
He's a good baseball player, and he's a good leader. He's a good offensive baseball player. He's better in left field. Nimmo's a guy that they're going to have to keep. He's one of the key guys on this team moving forward. Now, you want to change the core with Alonso. You want to move McNeil. I mean, I've only been screaming about trading McNeil for 4 years.
That's the easy one. Everybody agrees with McNeil. That's the easy one. That's the easy one.
No. Not 4 years ago they didn't.
Oh, no, that's true. I'm talking about now. No, and by the way, you've been on, and to your credit, you've been on McNeil for a while.
But there's a reason why. Because even when he's going well, all he does is hit for a decent average.
I hear you.
So he's close.
I hear you.
And by the way, we talk about trading McNeil. Guess what? They can't.
I know.
He's worthless. Jeff McNeil's not going to get in. But
he's not making a ton of money. You can move. I'm not even McNeil like that. That's a given. He's going to be gone. He's useless.
Yeah, he's the Alec Burks of the Knicks. So I would move on from McNeil. I understand. And there will be a time. Like, we're going to have this conversation as we get closer to the trade deadline. What the Mets are going to do with Marte, Diaz, Alonso, obviously, maybe front and center. Those are going to be big. J.D. Martinez, another one that maybe they could get something back for. That's going to be the conversation. I still think it's a little too early for that. They're not any good. We know that. But still, they fought hard. Now, watch. Tonight will be a typical night where they
win 7-2.
Yeah.
Listen.
They avoid the bottom line embarrassment. That's what they've done all year. They play hard for Mendy. They're just not that, they're not that good.
I know. And I like Mendoza. I do. I like the hire. It's a shame that Alvarez is not able to play every day yet. And obviously Christian Scott coming up, that's a good thing. Hopefully these prospects the Mets have in the minors. I don't think anybody's having an amazing season that is such a mental reinforcement. Like, okay, we got this kid coming. It doesn't seem like anybody's really tearing it up, but that's kind of beside the point. I understand, I know, and I do respect this, what will come from some Met fans. Though I do believe, I got to be honest, I think most Met fans are with me. And when Met fans are with me, you know that I'm right. Because Met fans are almost never with me. But I do think there will be some Met fans who will call up today, and we'll give you a chance to do this, I promise. 877-337-6666. Lean on the literal numbers of the situation. Wow. They're only 2 games out of the wild card. I understand that, guys. Watch them play baseball. I mean, now, again.
Well, to me, that's a different conversation. Like, when you say blow it up, and you say blow it up now, are you actually literally saying, like, you would start trading guys now?
I swear to God, I'm on now. I'm not giving them away.
Well, but
and
like, realistically, we know that they're not going to get the right value until the trade deadline comes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. For the most part, yes.
All right, so
but I got to start I'm not starting the process in a month like previous years. I am starting it now.
Right. So I think the bigger picture here is that, okay, you've made your decision that.
And by the way, I thought they'd win 75 games during the winter.
Understood.
So this is not like some, about face, abrupt shift of direction.
Right. And
they are who they are.
Right. And I don't disagree with that. But now we're starting to see it become more of a reality. We thought this way, you and I both, after the 0-5 start, because it brought validation to what we thought they were going to be in season. And at 0-5, you're thinking, this is it. I mean, I said it on the air, they're not going to be over 500 again. Now, obviously, they came back and fought hard. Maybe they do come back and fight hard again. But I'm with you in that I would rather build for the future and not chase a wild card spot with a team that I don't believe in.
Yep.
But then the question becomes Pete Alonso, because that was going to be the big talking point.
Trade him.
And you and I will disagree on Brandon. I would not trade Brandon Nimmo. I'm just not. There are certain guys, Nimmo, Alvarez, Christian Scott, obviously, like that are going to trade a young pitcher. I would keep Lindor, but realistically, what are you going to do with him anyway? Nobody's taking on his money, and it'd be ridiculous to pay. So, yeah, doesn't it really come down to, okay, we're going to agree on Marte or even Diaz, which J.D. Martinez, guys that are not going to be here 3, 4, 5 years down the road.
Alonso's the key discussion point. And you know where I've stood, and I've stood. Listen, it's just weird watching him play. What does he do?
Yeah,
what does Pete Alonso do? He's the most overrated star that I've seen in this city in a long time. I mean, if Pete Alonso doesn't mash a home run, he's useless. He does nothing. What does he do?
Here's why, though, BT. I will say that it's too early.
Just trade him already.
I know, but two things. For what, number one? Number two, if you keep Alonso. Now, I was always under the impression, like, if the year was going bad, you could trade him and then potentially bring him back, which, by the way, I still don't think is out of the realm of possibility. However, it may get to a point where it's so bad here that they just decide, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction. He's not getting the money that he hoped he was going to get. He's not even going to get the money that the Mets offered him a year ago.
I agree with that. That's an important point, okay? So you had very close parameters. You told us actually before anybody really about that contract that was floated, so good job by you. I think we got more specific, 7 years, 158
Sherman
from
gave
Sherman.
You the numbers. Yeah, all I said was it was under 200 and less than Olsen, and it was exactly that.
But you're right. He will not see 7 years, 158 ever again from the Mets or anybody else.
Don't you think it's about him then? Right? Like, can we agree that it's about him? Because if we
more than the other pieces,
we'll disagree. You and I will disagree about Nimmo.
And by the way, I don't want to do it. I can be convinced, and I can acquiesce. Like, Nimmo's not a problem.
Right.
I obviously I don't view him to be the asset necessarily that you do. But he's a good, solid player. I respect him. I'm not looking to give him away. Pete's the big fish here. Well, this is the guy, and it's time to trade him.
The reason he is because Lindor can't go anywhere. Right? Mm-hmm. Because McNeil is basically irrelevant.
Yep.
So what else is going to change? Like Marte, okay, yeah, you could move on from Marte. I think he's got one more year left right after this. So
this is, I think he's got 2 years. This year, this year and one more. He's signed a 4-year deal, so it's this year and one more.
Right, okay, right. 22, 23.
Yep.
Right, so you could move on from him, even if they couldn't find a great trade, you pay him to go, whatever.
Marte will be in a playoff race somewhere in August thriving.
The decision is going to be Pete and when. Mm-hmm. And we're getting closer to that.
Yes, we are.
I'm still going to be a little patient here.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because they've earned it. Well, I buried them after 0-5. Mm-hmm. And they fought back from that. So I'm not going to bury them again yet. I just don't think they're any good. I'm not going to bury them yet. I'll be a little more patient. But ultimately, that's going to be the decision. When and what they do with Pete.
Okay, 877-337-6666. BT and Sound on the Fan inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guarantee lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Massive inflection point for the Mets. They look awful, which is not stunning. Nobody thought they'd be great. But now you got to start making moves. And you've got to, and I've said from day one, I believe the Mets already had their decision on their first baseman. I've always believed that for the last year or so. They already almost, I don't want to say they almost traded him, but they thought about it to the point where they had serious conversations. Read the tea leaves. He's a one-dimensional player. He's 30 years old. He's a heavy-footed first baseman. What are we doing? I mean, this Pete Alonso nonsense is getting out of hand. I mean, they're superstars, they're stars, and then there's a guy who hits home runs. That's him. Rob's in Tom's River. Robbie, BT, and Sal, what's going on, buddy?
Gentlemen, major fan of the two of you. I'm doing my best to get to Belmar next week to see you both in person.
Nice.
Look forward to seeing you there,
little
Rob.
DJs. Nice.
Very, very excited.
All right.
Drinks on BT.
yes.
Drinks on,
And Kerry.
drinks on you, Sal, because I'm going to agree with BT as a diehard Mets fan here. You need to hit the nuclear button as fast
And by the way,
as
Rob, can I
possible
just say this? I'm sorry. I know that my opinions aren't always right, clearly. If there's a smart, forward-thinking, objective, measured Mets fan, you cannot disagree with what I'm saying. And quite frankly, with what I've been saying. Go ahead, Robbo.
So the premise here is, and this is why I'm agreeing with you, BT, they are so far ahead of where they need to be in the minor leagues right now, where you can literally trade Pete, Marte, Sevy, JD, the entire pitching staff,
Quintana.
McNeil yesterday.
Yep.
And by mid-2025, you already have Christian Scott up. You're going to have Brandon Sprout, Blake Tidwell.
Right, but
manager
Rob,
is right.
what are you getting for those guys now? Like, what do you think you're getting for Jeff McNeil now? I'll save you the suspense.
What
Nothing.
is Jeff McNeil doing for the Mets right now?
Nothing,
Right
but
now,
what are
this
you
second,
getting
Sal,
for him, Rob? I wanted to
Luis
trade him years
Angel
ago.
Acuna
And all you guys told me I was
You don't
wrong.
need anything for him, Sal.
Oh.
You don't.
Right, you don't.
They
You don't.
have
So
no
then just
need
cut
in the
him.
minor
Then stop
leagues
saying
now.
trade
Get
him. Cut
off
him.
the team. He's a negative.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm the one who said it first. Blow up the core. We had this argument last year.
We have.
Somehow I was the bad guy saying I said it again this year going into the year. The reason why I said I didn't believe in the Mets was because of the core. So that's why I say, BT, where fans are going to say blow it up. Okay, well, what does that mean exactly?
Can I tell you what I think it means?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not giving away Pete. I'm actively looking to trade him.
Right.
Nothing unclear about that. I've said it for a while. No way would I resign him. No way would I move forward with Pete. But I've got to let him regenerate some value, and I've got to get a decent deal. Somebody like McNeil, all right? It doesn't matter what I get back. You could give me two high-A prospects who are C-level prospects. His energy, the last caller's right. There is a negative energy with him. He does nothing on the field of value. Just jettison him. Get rid of him. I think he's more concerned with his flop shot, his 60-degree wedge than baseball.
They should have, and I was actually surprised, because usually I'm in alignment to some of the thinking there. I was surprised that they kept McNeil after the battle that he got into with Lindor.
Yeah.
Because Lindor just got here. He's the face of the franchise. Your $340 million, or whatever it is that he's making.
Yep.
And they're going to not only keep him as his double play partner up the middle.
I know.
That,
but he did win a batting title after that.
Understood, but to me that did harm to Lindor, which is more valuable. Now you could say that, well, that's on Lindor, fine.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you that did not have a positive effect on Francisco Lindor, and that was more important to me at the time than Jeff McNeil hitting 320. McNeil is not going anywhere because he's going to be out of the major leagues. He's not a Major League Baseball player. He's going to go the way of Lucas Duda and Ike Davis, all these other guys who Met fans value and think that they're better than what they are. Now, he happened to win a batting title, which you can't take away from him, but it proved to be an aberration. He's going to be out of the big leagues. And he is not, like, nobody's going to disagree at this point. I may have said it 4 years ago. It doesn't matter. Right now, nobody's going to disagree on Jeff McNeil.
No.
So what are we getting? And we also agreed that, like, while you can consider moving on from Lindor, if theoretically, it's not realistic.
The contract's too burdensome.
Okay, so that leaves Pete Alonso.
Yep.
Or you could throw in Nimmo, but I personally would not trade Nimmo, as you said before, and I think it's well put.
Yeah, and
BT.
I respect that.
He's not part of the problem.
No, I do respect that. And I respect him.
Yeah, he could be a solution.
Yep.
Is he a superstar? No, and he's got to be better and consistent, but that's a different issue. He's not the problem. It comes down to Pete. So when everybody's saying blow it up, like, that's...
What we're really saying is it's time to trade Pete.
I would think that's...
Is that code for trade Pete?
Like the decision has been made, because for years, last year, you and I took a lot of heat for it. And
We
said,
did.
And by the way, just to reiterate, the Mets started this. They started it a year ago with having Alonso out there on whatever list or block that they had available, okay? So they started it. We furthered it. And he is the one piece. Now, I was not willing to make that decision now. Like, I have my gut feel, but I said, all right, let's see how it plays out this season and see what happens. I do not care if they make the playoffs or not.
It means nothing.
It means nothing.
I agree with that for the first time, I think, ever. If
Remember
you're a
you were saying
young
it was
team,
crazy.
Yeah, like if you're a young ascending team, there's value there. Get there, incrementally
Right.
piece it together, get some high leverage at bats, blah, blah, blah. But this team, whether it's Pete, whether it's Marte, even Diaz at this point, Quintana, Bader, these guys aren't going to be around when the Mets ever get to a World Series.
Right.
They're not.
Right.
Hit the button, blow it up.
So what's the point of trying to make the playoffs? So I'm with you there that I'd rather trade and build for the future than make a run at the last wild card spot.
Yep.
But I think ultimately it just comes down to Pete.
Let me get Eli in Waterbury, Connecticut, BT and Sal on the fan. Eli, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
What's up, Eli?
Not much, man. I'm ready to lose my hair over the Mets. I definitely hit the nuclear button. Alonso, he gotta go. He's not even worth half his contract. His body language
It's terrible.
on the field
Terrible.
says it all.
Yep.
When this guy gets out, he looks up in the sky, flaps his head around. No, dude, you gotta show leadership. That guy has not 1 ounce of leadership.
I agree. And
Lindor's the same way. Whenever Lindor gets up, I'm automatic out. He grounds out.
I mean,
he has that look on his face of defeat.
Eli, how about last night? Now, again, it was 10-5 at this point. Thanks for the call there, buddy. The Mets saw 4 pitches. The heart of their order. Here's the pitch to Pete. Pop up to center. Here's the pitch to Lindor. And these were first pitch. Pathetic swing. Pop up. Here's the pitch to Martinez. Little three tapper to third base. Lights out. Team stinks.
Here's the biggest question that I have for you. I think I know the answer, but
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Okay.
We know it and felt like we have known it, what they are. We know it more now. Mm-hmm. Do you think they know it?
I want to answer that coming up next.
Okay.
I don't want to shortchange that answer. I think that might be the most important question of the day. It's one thing for us to tell us what we feel or tell everybody what we feel. That question and the answer is what will determine their fate. Want to get into that more coming up. Great question. 877-337-6666. BT and Sal on the fan.